This is the Sim Pit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you, my good friends, you guys are all the real star of today's show. And I'm going to prove that point right now. It's Monday. Happy Monday to everybody starting off a new week. I'm a little short on news today. Today is short on news, and we kind of expected this about this time of year. So I'm going to start this show off with something a little different than normal. This weekend, Friday night, I had a really good truck race. I actually won my race at the misfortune of Billy Strange, who would have easily won the race. And then we had Le Mans practice all weekend long, and I'm super psyched for Le Mans. This is the Sim Pit, Rickmo Tech, Sim Experience, 24-hour Le Mans team that we've been really, all the guys, I want to thank everybody because our whole team has been really practicing a lot. So here's my question, my point. Even though I was excited for the race, super pumped up for the race, even though I'm excited for the team, for some reason, every time I sat down in my rig, I was really having a hard time with, I'm not sure if it was overall motivation, inspiration, you know, again, I'm psyched, but every time I couldn't concentrate, I was having a hard time just doing what I wanted to do. So my question to you guys on a slow news day is, what do you do to get back in the game? What do you do to fight fatigue or to combat lack of motivation? How do you get psyched up? How do you get your head in the game? And again, this weekend, I had the best of intentions of turning thousands of laps with the guys. I was there for thousands of hours. I'm not talking literally, obviously. But my lap count was low, and my lap times were not making any improvement whatsoever. So again, Tom purposely stays away from the sim for a few days. I hear you. That is absolutely a good way. And I'll tell you something that I'm going to end up doing today, because we are going to have basically a change in the schedule that's going to really favor our Le Mans practice. You punish yourself into the car, and once in, you're motivated. See, that's what I was trying to do, and that wasn't working for me. Darren says getting away also, like Tom said, getting away. For me, there are a few things that I need to do. Number one, like I said, I'm really excited about the event. And I think one thing I'm not doing is directly tagging all this practice to the event, and realizing that every minute I spend on track means that much more competence in the race. Every minute I spend with the team means that much better camaraderie and that feeling of team. And now I can't step away for days, so how can I do that in a short period of time? Well, for me, it comes back to something I've been wanting to get myself a new road bike, get out there and do some cycling. And for me, again, I think it comes down to physically exhausting myself to a point, not to a point of like passing out, but getting the endorphins going, getting the air flowing, getting the blood flowing. And while I'm out there, being able to really think about my laps and driving and what I can do instead of just turning laps. What can I do to improve? You know, that reflection, that mentalization. And I haven't been doing any of that. I've been driving, turning laps, turning laps, turning laps. That's great for endurance setup. But it is not great for peak performance. And that's what I need to conquer, and I lacked this weekend. So anyway, just a little personal note, and I thought I'd let you guys get in on it as well. I'm going to have to catch up for lost time. You know, I wasted the weekend. I did not make a single tenth of a second improvement over the entire weekend, and I do have that improvement within me. I just wasn't doing it. I wasn't concentrating. Awesome, Mitchie. Yeah, I'm shopping. It's gonna be really expensive. Yeah, my new road bike. I can't see how I'm gonna get out of this for under $2 grand, and that's a used bike. I might even hold out and throw $3 or $4 grand at the equation, but you know, I'm actually thinking of getting back into bike racing as well. Anyway, try different cars and have fun. You know, Extreme, that's a great point. That was the whole point. Spatial mentioned Farm Sim. That was the whole point of Monday Fun Day, was that distraction. And funny enough, I'm not going to do Monday Fun Day today because nobody hit me up about Grand Theft Auto. And because, well, we're going to go ahead and get back out there at Le Mans. Tonight we are going to stream at 6 p.m. our Le Mans practice with the guys, the whole team. They don't even know it yet, but that's what we're doing for Monday Fun Day. I'll be hosting a room. I can make it available to anybody who's viewing if you want to come in and drive with us as well, so we can get a bigger crowd. Anyway, okay, let's get on to the news. Sorry about that. I just kind of got a little distracted. And like I said, I don't have a lot of news today. So, Project Cars, they're talking about various different leagues they have going on. So, the ESL's A1 Esport League, we're returning for second season. We can click to that. We also have the ESL Telecom Esports League Division 2. Same thing. This is all in Austria. And if you follow the link, it shows you the whole setup of the structure. What's interesting to me is PC and PS4. I don't see anything else. 32,000 euro on the line there. So you can go check that out for you Project Cars fans. Codemasters, not a lot going on. You know, this is an off weekend in Formula One, so they didn't get to do their normal tie-in to real-life racing. But their blog did kind of pull together just sort of a summary of like just about everything that we've seen or heard about F1 2018. So if you are looking for, you know, you were late to the game, you haven't heard about it, well, or seen it, haven't gotten inspired to get psyched for 2018, if you go to the Codemasters Twitter page, this article here, right here, will go to their blog, and that's where you can find that article with just about everything that they've announced or told us. Also, they're talking about the soft launch phase of the mobile version of F1 2000. They're just calling it F1. It doesn't have a year name on it. It does have the halo, so we could call it 2018, I suppose. But there you go. So that is coming out for the mobile players. Somebody looking for something fun. I've been playing a lot of Plague on my phone. I have a new game. Can't remember. Was that Devin or Climber? Devin or Climber turned me on to Plague on the phone, and I've been playing it nonstop. That was my walking away playing something else, but phone game doesn't do it for me. A couple of things went on over the weekend in the world of iRacing, Project Shadow, and you know, the whole McLaren thing. But starting off at the iRacing page, I guess we'll go with that. But they do have a clip of the big race. This is the endurance championship. Sorry, and you had a big battle between FA Racing and VRS Coanda, and our good friend Mitchell de Jong brought it home and actually made a last-minute pass. In addition to that, we had qualifying round one for the McLaren Shadow competition. We're going to come right back. Actually, here it is. So they had this qualifier, and this was the Vive qualifier that did I cover that? Do I remember even happening it? But it was at China Joy 2018 in Shanghai. This was a one-off event, and Alvin Wang Graylin won the whole thing and is now one of the people that is officially going to the finals in the McLaren Shadow project. So this guy kind of got one of the, no offense to what he did, but I mean, that's one of the easy seats. You can't compare winning at the Vive show in Shanghai spontaneously to what the guys who are going to compete in, say, the iRacing version. I mean, we saw the shootout that led to Rudy winning. Or no, that was actually an R Factor, which is what this was in. Yeah, mobile version, but no VR. Very interesting. Very interesting. FA Racing also showing off that last lap. Was it last lap? It was towards the end of the race. I don't think it was last lap, but VRS and Coanda, I mean, Coanda and Logitech really did go at it. And here it shows a photo of the moment, the last moment. And from this point on, it was Mitchell de Jong and the VRS Coanda team. So that finally beat the Logitech guys. Yay. No, actually, Logitech is doing great everywhere they go. And maybe the toughest road that they've had is on iRacing, of all places. I heard about some great racing at Watkins Glen. I did not get to watch it. Another write-up. This is at SimSport News. I mean, again, this was a pretty big deal. It was a great race, and you can find that race on RaceSpot if you want to see how it played out. But the best going at it on iRacing. We talked about the Hoonigan event at the RTX Austin, and remember, cosplay is not consent. So if you see a girl dressed up as Pikachu, that is not an invitation to do anything but say hello. Do anything but treat her like anybody. Anyway, this is some shots of what was going on there at the Thrustmaster booth. Black Deadpool, Dark Dead. I don't know the name of the Dark Deadpool. Remember, cosplay is not consent. Wow, this guy's all bruised up. Spent the day punching him, his friends and back. Anyway, just some of the shots of what was going on at this bizarro show. And the Hoonigan guys there in conjunction with Thrustmaster with those two over-the-top rigs. And some prizes given away by Thrustmaster. You see their sequential in action. And there's the whole rig, the VRX D-Box platform, moving within that giant chassis. No peekaboo from Pikachu. So that's all at the Thrustmaster page. I told you about, we saw a little video of the Ricmotech load cell. And so here it is in the kit form. That's what it looks like in order to what you'd install into your Thrustmaster kit. This video here was showing it being tested, so you can actually see it in movement. So there are the pieces in action. There are the pieces as they'd come in the mail. And that's kind of cool. In addition to that, Aline Cipriani, I guess, came down to the Ricmotech shop and did some practice laps because she was going to be doing a Trans Am race at, where were they? At Pittsburgh International Race Complex. So apparently she went down and did some laps on the APX 3000, which we often see on our hot lap hump day with the Ricmotech guys. We see guys running in that rig. But Aline here got herself onto the podium in this race. Wow, that's a big person there on the center podium. What else? We already talked about this. Another shot. We'll give credit where credit is due, but Xian Gao named High Flyer. I guess I got his name wrong. That does not sound like the name that I said earlier. But this is the HTC Vive VR champion, 26-year-old Zhang Gao, named High Flyer. He's the first qualifier to secure a place in the McLaren Shadow Finals. His dream to becoming a racing driver, perhaps now that dream can... His dream is to become a racing driver. Perhaps now that dream can become a reality. You hear Pokemon is popular in the prison system? That's terrible. Franco Bucho! Hello, buddies. Jesse, Steam King. All the regulars. Tom Jones. GT Planet. So, another opportunity to join that incredible FA Logitech racing team. Join Fernando Alonso's eSport team with the latest GT Sport competition. So, that team is still drafting away. And their team goes way beyond just that F1 2018. You think about it, and it's like, well, they're competing in iRacing, Project Cars, Gran Turismo, Forza, everywhere. They are becoming the super team of super teams in a very short amount of time. So if you're interested in being part of that and you kick ass at GT Sport, you can check this out at GT Planet. Just a little deal. Never even heard of Pixio PXC32S. This is a 32-inch 2560 1440 144 hertz SVA adaptive sync curved monitor for $499. I'll race on a Logitech if I can be on that team. Steven Dager, longtime friend. How you doing, buddy? WCCF Tech, talking about the AMD Ryzen Threadripper 2000 series specifications and prices revealed. What does it mean? It means you can get the 2990WX 32-core processor for $1799. That's just for the chip. That is just the chip. 32 core for $1799. way beyond my price, way beyond what I can handle. But if you want all the details on what is going to be one of the latest, greatest, there it is. Comes in a fancy box. Look at that. Looks like it was made for Iron Man or something. So, there you go. Prices, specs, everything you want at WCCF Tech. What else? I think we're running out. Just a bunch of little stories. From Power Slides to Blue Shells, HTC Vive, Talks, Mario Kart Arcade, GP VR. So you can VR in Mario Kart, but you cannot VR in F1 2018. How cool would it be to be able to use the Halo and VR, you know, and get that real, what does it really feel like? What does it really look like being a modern F1 driver and dealing with that Halo? You'd do better with the cheaper wheel. I'm on a Thrustmaster right now. I mean, compared to like my direct drive. Also, I think, and I hear and I read about Mario Kart, and I just can never stop imagining where they're going in Formula E. I don't know if you guys remembered, but they were proposing having, like, instead of fan boost, having the fan boost be like a spot on the track that you had to drive over in a very Mario Kart bonus or power-up way. Eurogamer, I don't usually cover other people's stories quite like this one, but Eurogamer has an article talking about GT Sports. Big new updates is the best and the worst of the series rolled into one. I didn't get a chance to read the article, but it seemed like they had some pretty strong opinion on the latest patch. I mean, they do go on to say how it's a significant patch, and I do know they were talking about loot boxes or whatever you want to call microtransactions, and how as certain games are going away from it, other, you know, companies are going to it, funny enough, with GT Sport being one of those embracing microtransactions after claiming they never would. Scholarly Gamers has an article talking about Farming Simulator 19 mission system and first gameplay screenshot. So somebody had mentioned Farm Sim as a distraction game. Get out there and do it. Spatial, do they have bonus power-ups on the track? Tom, I don't know. That's a great question. PC Gamer saying that flash sales are returning to Steam, according to a report. So instead of those being the long time Black Friday planned type sales, this is more about just random throwing it up 6, 8, 10, 12-hour mega discounts spontaneously. So might mean that we have to check in with Steam and always be looking for the big deal. COG Connected has an article. I'm just mentioning it because not the greatest thing. Train Sim World Review. All board. So apparently they weren't overly impressed with the latest version of Train Simulator. We've talked a lot about esports getting into the Olympics and what it takes. Does it belong? Blah, blah. I saw a few different variations of this article over the weekend, so there must have been some big press conference made that allowed everybody to run to the presses with it. But VentureBeat, talking about esport legitimizing itself, how it doesn't need the Olympics. In 1988, ping pong was introduced into the Olympics. And they had been pushing for 57 years to get ping pong into the Olympics. And funny enough, there is as much opposition from the ping pong community opposing it, thinking that the Olympics would not necessarily be better for its sport. So now as we consider esport going into the Olympics, we then have to think, is that the best thing for esport? Will the Olympics create boundaries, rules that esport doesn't want to or shouldn't have to comply to? How will it affect it if it did make it in? That's what this article is kind of speculating. They're also talking about how esport isn't exactly like, you know, sure, NB2K could be a proper Olympic esport perhaps, but that's not where the big esport is. The big esport is Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And when you really think about what would go into the Olympics, I mean, wouldn't they go with the biggest of the big? And if you were going to start adding esports to the Olympics, is Counter-Strike Global Offensive, isn't that kind of the wrong message of the Olympics? The Olympics were about countries getting together and not dealing with things like war. That's kind of the whole point of the Olympics if you go back in time. Anyway, Counter-Strike in the Olympics sounds like an oxymoron to me. Article here at True Achievements talking about the Grip release date announced along with new screenshots and a trailer. So anybody who's interested in Grip, you can go check that out at True Achievements. I like to pull these up when I get them sent in, but a Pololo Instruments flywheel with an augury sauce. I don't know what any of that means, but what I do see here is a Sparco P310 steering wheel, which is exactly what's right here in my hand, and the P310 rim, and a carbon plate with 10 buttons, 2 rotary encoders, and of course magnetic paddles. This is from Pololo Instruments. I'd like to get my hands on one of those things right there. Gotta go back in time. Motorsport, my favorite and least favorite site on earth, has a write-up on their experience, and this is a little bit dated, but with us doing our endurance race, a lot of our guys thinking about endurance racing, I thought it was kind of cool. They 2 years ago did the 24 Hours of Daytona and did a whole write-up on the experience from their perspective and what it took. I didn't read the whole thing. I know their car was out at the 9.5 hour mark, and that was not necessarily what they were shooting for, but that's why they go on to say that it's very difficult, even on iRacing. So for those who aren't aware of how sim racing is, yes, like the real thing, we have consequences, and that might come to the end of your race or cause the end of your race. Spatial was it in and then pulled out, but I know it was put back into the Olympics in 1988. I do remember that, and that's what the article is talking about. We talked about, so there's more word on this. This is the dailyesports.gg talking about the Supercar Esports Series. Is about celebrating esports talent. This is really ramping up. So those down under looking for great esport competition, you are going to find it in the flavor that you know so well, because V8 Supercar is to Australia what NASCAR is to America. I mean, like, if you're an Australian and you are a racing fan, then chances are you're probably a fan of the V8 Supercar. Just like most Americans are, even if they don't want to admit it, they're fans of NASCAR. They grew up on it. It's in our blood. Cool rig here. A couple things I wanted to point out about the rig. A few things that actually annoyed me. So this guy's got a really cool mini midge, it looks like. A really tiny direct drive motor. I dig it. Cool adapter to a cool wheel rim. Fanatic inverted pedals. But I got some what's wrong with this picture. Obviously, sim racing is not his main gig, because why is his wheel, it's bolted to that desk in that left-hand position. And it's 90 degrees to the table. Yes, FOV. His FOVs. He's in the behind the car view. That's iRacing. He can't race that way, I don't think. But Balls of Fury, man, Steam King, I love that movie. I love Balls of Fury. I thought that was very underrated comedy. But he does run an Oculus. You can see his well padded VR. Oh, that's why. We solved the mystery right there. We solved the mystery. It's the VR. Tom Jones, you said it. You typed it before I said it. Dave Blair, you said it before. You typed it before I said it. Anyway, all right, it's not so weird. In that case, the other thing I did notice is, are those computer fans? Those look like computer fans, and that could be a great idea or project for anybody. If you were to just get a couple of simple computer fans, run some long wiring to your computer, and plug it into the board, you could actually have computer-powered fans that would be pretty small and pretty quiet, not kick up too much wind, and you won't even need a whole other fan. Anyway, I do like the way he did that as well. Got these two little fans. That could be... Oh, is that... These actually... I wonder if those are controlled. Those could be controlled fans, too. Just because they're computer fans doesn't mean they're not one of those wind kits. SRS wind deal. Yeah, that's what I was just wondering. Is that what that is? You know, you could do your own variation with computer fans, though, now that I'm thinking about it. I'm going to do that one because I just want cooling. I don't need speed fans. I need cooling fans. SimWin, thank you guys. See, you guys are the star of the show. You guys always got my back, especially when I'm missing things. This is at Inside Sim Racing in their forum, and it's actually quite old, 2013. But it was sent in, and I just thought, man, I really wish I had a picture of some of my early rigs and the progression. I just think the progression of sim racing, and so many of you guys started out on the keyboard, and so many of you guys have evolved to, you know, very elaborate over the top. But I love the couch goes here. But it's just some real basic starter rigs, beginning of time. Look at that, an old school monitor. I mean, who remembers those? Some of the original Hyper Sim, I believe these were way back when. It's evolved a lot now that I'm looking at the original design. And anyway, I just wonder, what is your guys' evolution? What stages have you guys been through in your sim racing career? You know, were you a desktop racer? I love the evolution of this desk into a permanent sim rig. That's my story right there. I raced at a desk for a long time. And bolted my wheel to it just like this. That's a G25 right there. But yeah, the evolution. Oh, I love the keypad. Look at the keypad for a button box right in the middle of the wheel. This guy's for real. And he's got his Pilates shoes. Anyway, so what is your guys' sim history? Were you keyboard racers? Were you joystick racers? Did you become wheel on a whatever you could clamp it to? Dining room table, there you go, Kimber. Did you race on a CRT? Or a CRT? Yeah, aren't those CRTs? Yeah, but I don't have my original. So this one, this top rig here actually reminds me, I had built a rig that looked a lot like this that was for Project Gotham on the original Xbox. And I had bought a separate wheel. I think it was a Microsoft Sidewinder. That was, at the time I was actually using a TSW and running PC racing. Oh, look at this old school TV. I didn't even mess that. Anyway, all this has just been filler. I'm giving you guys a 30-minute show, even though we have no news whatsoever today. That is going to really do it. I'm going to one more time mention and show off our incredible Ferrari of the Rick Motec Sim Pit racing team. We are prepping for Le Mans in 2 weeks, a little under 2 weeks at this point. Not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. And we've had 14, 15 guys out practicing each and every day. We are going to do another session today at 6. The big difference is I'm going to stream tonight's practice so you guys can watch and hear us in our preparation for the race. A lot of guys. Looks like we're fielding 2 different teams, Sim Pit Orange, Sim Pit Blue. And we will hopefully have a good showing. I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, my motivation wasn't there this weekend. It might have been the heat. It's summer. I'm really tired of the heat, and it's got me exhausted every single day right now. Hopefully it'll cool down, but honestly it's only going to get hotter over the next week. So, anyway, tonight at 6 p.m., that will be when I am back on the air. And instead of Monday Fun Day, we are going to be doing more practice for Le Mans. And maybe I can show you guys my driving line. If you're preparing for that race, you can see what I'm doing, how I'm handling it. And you'll see what all the Sim Pit guys have up their sleeve for this race. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the show. And happy Monday. Get out there and do some racing. This is the Sim Pit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.